The Elgato Stream Deck, and do you need it? Are you looking to upgrade from the 6-button mini to the 15-button regular? Or are you just looking in the market, been looking at videos of it, and decided that, man, I'm just going to watch one more video and then I'll make my decision? Well, if you have, then you're in the right spot. My name's Dante, and I'll be your stream guide for today. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we get started, if you know any stream items you think are a must for streaming, or you think that, gotta do a video on this, is a great topic, then let me know down in the comments. I'll go ahead and look at it, I'll go ahead and do my research, and then I'll make a video. I may even buy the item and then do a video just so I can do a more in-depth video. Also, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I release videos weekly. It's going to be on streaming content. It's going to be on streaming items. Just make sure to tune in. First thing we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about the two different types of stream decks. Well, technically there's three, but we're going to be talking about two. We're going to be talking about the Elgato Mini Stream Deck, and we're going to be talking about the Elgato Stream Deck, which is their regular version of the Stream Deck. Today we won't be talking about the XL, basically the XL Stream Deck, just because I don't have it and I don't want to make a video trying to explain the details, explain how big it is, explain the size and all the features if I don't have it. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you the main difference is the Elgato XL Stream Deck has 32 buttons. The Stream Deck regular has 15, and the small one, the Mini, has 6 buttons. The Elgato Stream Deck comes in all different shapes and sizes. If you can see, as you've seen, as we talked about earlier, it goes from 6 buttons to 15 buttons to 32 buttons. Or if you just don't have the budget you need to buy even a 6-button one, because even a 6-button one is $100. If you don't have that in the budget, Elgato does have a phone application. I mean, you do have to pay for it, but it's no $100 application. Okay, it's a lot cheaper. It's gonna get you the same bang for your buck, and you can use your smartphone to do it. Let's get started talking about the smallest physical stream deck Elgato, the Stream Deck Mini. The Stream Deck Mini is going to cost you about $99.99 plus tax plus shipping. So it's going to be around $100. It is going to be the smallest physical stream deck that you can get. So if you're thinking about, I'm just starting out, I'm just getting started in my career, then the smallest one may just be for you, just to get a hang of it. If you like it, I mean, you can always go and buy the $150 one. If you really like it, you can upgrade all the way to the XL. But the Stream Deck Mini comes with an integrated 4-foot 11-inch USB 2.0 cable. Now remember, guys, some of y'all have really large desks like I do. That 4-foot 11-inch cable, if you're really trying to cable manage, may be hard. So make sure to work out where you're gonna put the Stream Deck before you buy it and before you decide on which one you want. Okay. Also, it does have a USB 2.0 connection. So most computers nowadays, they do have all USB 2.0s. Some have USB 3.0s. If you have a newer computer, you'll have more 3.0 connections and 2.0 connections. Some of the older computers only have 2.0 connections. But as long as you have a USB connection on your computer, the Elgato Stream Deck should work with it. It does have 2 rows of 3 LCD keys, so it does have 6 LCD keys in total. The LCD keys on the Stream Deck Mini and on all the Stream Decks are backlit. You can change all the icons. You can even use GIFs. You can do whatever you need to do. You can make your Stream Deck look amazing. I recommend if you get it, customize it, use it to its fullest potential. Okay. All right. The Stream Deck Mini is gonna weigh around 160 grams, which is actually pretty light, but it's actually really sturdy. It's not going anywhere on the desk. You press it hard, it's not going to break. If you squeeze it, it's not going to break. If it falls off the table, it's not going to break. It's pretty sturdy. However, if you don't have something for it to stand on, if you press the keys too hard, you will slide your Stream Deck back. And then the more you press it, the more it'll just get further and the more you'll be reaching and getting up. It's just make sure you have something for it to sit on that, it's not, I wouldn't say a smooth wood finish or a smooth glass finish. Just make sure something that it's not gonna move around. Like if you got extra space on your mouse pad, put it on there. It'll at least stop it from sliding back as much as it will slide back. The Stream Deck Mini does not have an adjustable stand. So if you're looking for that perfect angle, you're not gonna get it with the Stream Deck Mini. It comes at one height. Comes basically, you buy it, you put it there. Unless you put it on some books, unless you prop it up, you're not gonna be able to adjust the height. However, if you do want to adjust the height, if you are somebody who's like, man, I need it in this spot, I need it at this angle, and it's gonna be perfect, you may just want to go ahead and invest the extra $50. Go ahead and buy the Stream Deck. That one does have an adjustable stand. It also does have a removable stand, so you can really put it in a lot of different places, a lot of different angles if you really want to. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the Stream Deck. For this video, I'm just gonna call it the Stream Deck regular, just because every time I say Stream Deck, I might be talking about the Mini, the XL. Let's just call it the Stream Deck regular. Now, the main difference between this one and the Mini is the Mini has 2 rows of 3 buttons, so 6 buttons total. This one has 3 rows and 5 buttons, so 15 buttons total. So if you really want something, if you're a medium streamer, if you're really looking to go full-time streaming, and this is something that you need to decide on early, whether or not you need to invest 100 or 150, because there's no point investing 100 and getting a Stream Deck Mini and 2 months later turning around and invest another 150 just to get the extra buttons that you get. You know, with this one you get 15, with the Mini you get 6. Another difference this one's gonna have, does have that adjustable stand. The stand can adjust to 8 different heights. Also, you can remove the stand, so if you really are trying to customize on you have something that's gonna put it at the perfect height, you can go ahead and take the stand off and just have it sit on that. Otherwise, you have 8 different options on how high or how low the stand can sit. The stand's gonna be a stand, okay? Stand's not gonna be the heaviest, the most heavy set metal stand, but it is gonna be a stand and it is gonna be able to hold it. If you do press buttons too hard, like I said with the Mini, you will slide it back and forth. So just find something with a little bit of traction, something that you can set it on that'll just, ease, so when you're really trying to switch a lot of things fast on your Stream Deck, it doesn't slide all the way to the back of the table. This one's also going to weigh a little more than the Mini. This one weighs 190 grams instead of 160, so it is going to be a little bit more sturdy, but that is because it's a little bit bigger than the Mini, of course. So it is going to be a little sturdy. Cord length is still going to be something that I wish it'd be a little longer. The cord length is going to be the same length as the 4'11" inches. It's going to be the same length as the Mini one. So if you're looking for something with an extra cord length, right now they don't have it. You may just have to buy, a USB extender or USB port, external port that you can plug in, put it closer to it. Now, what can the Stream Deck do for you? For that, we're going to just go ahead and we're going to open up Streamlabs OBS. I'm going to go ahead and open up a screen capture so you can look at it. So we'll be right back in a second. Alright guys, we're back. Now we're going to go ahead and look at my desktop. We're going to go ahead and look at the Stream Deck, what you download as soon as you get a Stream Deck. There's instructions on, just go to the website, download it. First thing this will pop up. It'll pop up with only one thing. But this is what it's going to look like from your desktop. This is basically what you're going to get when you buy it. There's going to be all these options on the right side. The advanced launcher and the OBS and the custom were downloaded. They're downloaded by going to more actions, and this will pop up and it'll show you all the other stuff, all the other mods that people have made that you can download. But just make it a little easier to automate, to get everything in one spot so you don't have to go around your computer looking at stuff. So, of course, if you stream to Twitch, you can open up this tab, download or drag all the stuff in here that you use, so you don't have to go to Twitch and have to try to set up everything else. Most of Twitch's stuff is right in here. And drag it, drop it here. I'll drag and drop. Like if you want to put a chat message out, you just link your account and everything. I use Mixer right now, so Twitch is not really something I use a lot. I used to use it, but now I don't use it a lot. But we'll go ahead and start and look at what it can do for you. Like my one is my light that's on me right now. I click it, of course the light goes off. I click it again, the light comes back on. Click number 2, that's the light behind us. That's my fiance's light. You can see a little bit change in the background. Now I have 9 and 42%. What those two are right here, 9 to 42%, those are my light brightness. I game, I put it on 9, so that's what it'll look like when I game. When I'm doing videos, I put it on 42%, so that's what it'll look like. Also, I have my Adobe suite right here. I go in here, it shows all the Adobe applications I use, all my quick hotkeys for stuff. I'm making new icons and stuff, go to Photoshop, Spark. I'm doing website stuff, I go to Dreamweaver. Alright, the main thing that I want to show y'all is in my streaming settings, and one right here. Look, this yellow icon, I love it. It switched my sound between my speakers and sound between my headset. So I'm streaming, I'm playing games, I want my sound to be on my headset. Or if I'm not playing games and I just want to watch YouTube videos or I want to watch other streamers, I switch it back to my desk, or I switch it back to my speaker, so I don't have to sit here and put my headset on the whole time. Let's go ahead and go into my streaming file. This is what it looks like right here. Basically, when I start streaming, I basically press the top 3, like in order. You can press them as fast as you want. They'll all light up. It'll show stuff. There'll be a check mark when you do it. Here, I'll go ahead and demonstrate. I'm gonna press this button right here, the Twitter button. When I press it, there's a check mark that actually goes on my thing. It'll send the thing out saying, "Hey guys, I'm streaming." And also I got my scenes right here. There's just quick scenes. It goes from starting soon, live, a button that actually makes me live to record and starts to stream, and then pause screen, ending soon screen. This one shows how many viewers I have. This one lets me delete the chat. This one lets me slow the chat down. So all of this is inside one button. So essentially this is a folder. With folders you can drag them. Say you only have 15 buttons, or say you only have 6 buttons, and you really want to maximize the use. I recommend making 6 folders of things you use, so you can go into it like this and you'll still have more and more buttons that you can use. And also you can nest folders. So I can have a folder inside a folder inside a folder. You can have multiple buttons, or not multiple buttons, but you can have more. I'm trying to think of the word, I'm losing the word. You can have more hotkeys available to you. Now, one hotkey can do multiple things. So one hotkey can, like, I'll click on my brightness or my audio. It changes it from input devices, from my speakers to my headset. You can have one button do multiple things. That's what shines in the Stream Deck. Is I can do everything in one button, or I can separate out into separate buttons. I can press in side by side if I really want the complete control over my setup, which I do have, which I like having all the buttons viewable. With all of that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get on to the cons that I think of the Stream Deck. The Stream Deck Mini only has 6 buttons. For me, that's a con. The lowest should be 10. 6 buttons, if you do any streaming, you'll know after 6 buttons just isn't enough. 10 buttons is enough after working with it. Let's just leave it at that. All right. Another thing is the short USB cable. If you are a fan of cable management and have an outrageous setup that deserves the respect on stream that everybody comes to look at, like you've thought of it for 2 years, spent $10,000 on it, spent $5,000 on it, and it's amazing. So just about 5-foot cable may throw a wrench in that. The cable should have at least been removable, so you can buy an extendable, or so you can buy a longer cable cord, or they should have offered options in it, because that really throws a damper in things. I mean, and the stand for the Stream Deck regular, it's a little on the flimsy side. I'd rather see a little more heavy, I guess, duty metal used, or a little more sturdy stand used, because if you try to adjust it, you want to adjust it to a different height, it starts falling, and it just gets crazy. It just gets everywhere. All right. And one more con for it is just it only supports Windows 10 and Mac software only. I mean, I understand we skipped Windows 9 and went to Windows 10, but can we get a Windows 8 support? Now, I know Windows 8 is not gonna last for too much longer, but I do have it on some laptops, so I would love to use it there. With the cons being said, let's go ahead and move into the pros. The pros are easy setup. I mean, it took me 30 minutes to get it up and running. It took me another probably 15 to try to really look into it and try to set up my stream folder the way I wanted it. That's only because I didn't want to just go ahead and get started. I wanted to look at it, make sure I knew what I wanted and where I wanted it. Also, some pros are, I mean, you can nest items in the folders, that in itself makes it worth it to me, because I mean, you can do so much with being able to drop a folder into a folder into a folder, with drop items into items into items onto the Stream Deck. That just, I mean, it's just amazing. There's unlimited opportunities and limited options with it. Also, you can make pictures, you can make GIFs. I mean, you could drop both of those as your backgrounds. There's a bunch of creativity you can get into this. So nobody's Stream Deck's gonna look alike unless you literally went to your friend's house, stole his icons, came back, put them on. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna go to anybody's house and steal the Stream icons or pictures for the Stream Deck, but who knows? My final thoughts on the Stream Deck are: if you're in the market, if you're looking for one, now's the time to get one. Now's the time to go ahead and invest. Now's the time to go ahead and get used to it. I mean, Stream Deck, as I've explained earlier, it has multiple options. It makes everything easier. It makes gaming easier. It makes streaming easier. It also looks good sitting on the desk. A lot of people are gonna like it. I mean, it's just the whole package for what they were intending for. So if you are in the market, just go ahead, spend the $100, spend the $150. Some people that's gonna be a stretch. Some people may just want to go ahead and get the mobile. But if you're gonna do that, at least experiment with it and decide whether or not you actually want the physical version of the Stream Deck and not just the mobile. Don't buy the mobile and stick with the mobile. Use the mobile to eventually bridge to the physical 6 or physical 15 button. Or if you're feeling spicy, get the big 32 button. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for today. I mean, I can talk about the Stream Deck all day long and still be talking about it, but we're just gonna end it here today. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any comments, you can post a comment down in the comments, or you can join my stream. I stream every Monday and Tuesday from 7 to midnight. Just stop by, we can talk about Stream Deck, or we can just talk about other stream related items. Alright guys, see you next time.
I've raved and raved about how great the Elgato Stream Deck is for over a year now, and Elgato Corsair Elgato has released a worthy successor, the Stream Deck Mini. This little brother to the original Stream Deck offers all of the same amazing features: unlimited macro capability, customizable icons and GIFs with the LCD screen behind the keys, and integration into your favorite streaming apps and services in a smaller and cheaper package. The Stream Deck Mini is half of the size of the original Elgato Stream Deck and features 6 keys instead of the original 15. This time, the stand is built in. I see why they did this. They were able to add more weight to make sure this tiny thing didn't slide around when you press the keys in, but This means that you have no control whatsoever over the angle of the deck and the keys, and it will still have the same glare problems as the original, or anything like that. Kinda sad, as I really wish we could add a 1/4 inch 20 threaded tap to the original to mount it onto like a camera arm or production setups, and I was imagining many scenarios before I received my review unit where the Mini could be easily mounted to the side of mixers, monitors, or keyboards, and can't be done now. Also, still no detachable cable? Why? Otherwise, the build quality is great and what you would expect following the original Elgato Stream Deck. As mentioned, the keys and faceplate are pretty much identical, though my keys on my Mini feel less soft and mushy than on my original Stream Deck, but that could easily just be the age difference. I've been mashing at one for a year, and the new one only for a week or so. The big change comes in developments that Elgato have made to the Stream Deck software over the past year. To start, they now offer a dedicated key creator web app that has dozens of icons and backgrounds and tools to make your custom icons if you're not so hot at the Photoshops or what have you. It lets you manage multiple layers, background colors, your gradient overlays, your own icons, their icons, and more. This has actually been out for a while, I've just never really talked about it. Maybe I'll finally do a dedicated video on it sometime. Let's switch over to the desktop and take a look at the Stream Deck software itself with the Stream Deck Mini. Here we have the Elgato Stream Deck software, which might look a little different from the last time I showed it off. And there's actually some really cool functionality here, which I'm going to start with because you can see in their actions list on the left, there is quite a lot of stuff. And a lot of that stuff is stuff that I would not use. For example, I don't use the Tippy Stream service. I don't use XSplit. I don't use Mixer. So in the sake of efficiency, you can now use these 3 right-click things here, or these 3 little menu icons, and then you can actually uncheck things you don't use. So I would kind of recommend starting with that just so you can clear up your little interface here and be more on the right path of stuff you would actually use. Now we have a more manageable menu, and you can go deeper than that. But that's one of the cool features. The overall UI still kind of looks the same. You have your actual Stream Deck itself, which if we switch between my primary one, which has all 15 keys here, and then you have your smart profiles, depending on what that's set up. So this is the general no smart profiles section. But then if I switch to this new one, it's the Stream Deck Mini. So it only has these 6 keys. Same setup as before. You have the individual keys that you can select and icons. You can right click and create a folder to create a folder with multiple icons. And then you can add individual macros and things like that to the individual keys. Now they do have soundboard functionality. So you can now drag play audio to a button, and you can choose what the button does. It can toggle play or stop. You can make it just play, and every time you hit it, it overlaps, which is useful for the MLG air horn, as I'll show here real quick. This is going to, like, destroy my ears. Sometimes I have noticed with the soundboard, there is a delay for the first time you play a sound. Like, it has to cue it up into memory or something, and so like there's a good split-second delay here. I'm going to hit it now. There is a delay to it starting up, so that's a little frustrating, but you can have it overlap, you could have it just restart the sound effect, or you can have it just tell it to loop, and then when you hit it again, it stops, so you can have it just keep repeating itself. The default that most people will probably choose is the play and stop. That way it will stop when you hit it if you have something a little bit longer. Soundboard's pretty cool. People have been requesting that for a long time. You no longer need third-party apps or to hook up an iPad to your mixer or anything like that. You just have the ability to play sounds directly here. It does play to your system sound. So if you're setting it up in OBS, OBS needs to pick up your actual system audio here. So that is important to consider. But they've added a couple new things. There is now Streamlabs support, so you can skip Streamlabs alerts, you can mute them, you can pause them, you can do a wheel spin and play some credits and some weird stuff. I don't use Streamlabs alerts a whole lot. I don't stream a whole lot, so there's that aspect. And then they do have Streamlabs OBS integration as well as normal OBS Studio integration. So they have dedicated controls for that, which is pretty cool. So if you only use one or the other, you can come in here and uncheck the other, which is nice. One category that you might think is a little reciprocal is there is now a Stream Deck category. And you can create a folder, which isn't a macro to create a folder with the button. You're just dragging a folder on there. But you can have buttons that switch profiles if you just want to set up more quote unquote dumb profiles, like you want, page 1, page 2, page 3. This would sort through them. It's more or less going to be the same as folders, but especially if you're using a button for it. But that option is available to you. You can set up a timer, which you drag on here, and then it can play a specific sound once that timer is complete. So we'll say 1 second. I'm going to hit that button. Give us 1 second, and it should do something, which could be useful for streams. If you're trying to do some sort of weird scripted stream or whatever, you tell it to wait a few seconds and then hit the button. It's going to do the few seconds, and then a few seconds later, it's going to play the sound effect, which could be useful for specific streams. And then you can drag a specific button to change the brightness. Again, I don't know why you'd want to do this, but the fact that they give you this control is really cool. Lastly, what they have added, which this guy here, what was his name? The chief creative officer. I don't see a name here. I don't see it. But the chief creative officer of Red Giant actually called this something that I completely agree with. And that is that the multi-action takes the Stream Deck from being kind of a creative fun thing to have individual push button options to being kind of a must-have. Because now one button, which people have been requesting forever, one button now allows you to drag all of these different effects on, or presets and macros onto one button. So you can even add a delay in between them, which is really handy. The timer turns into a delay. So I can have a sound effect play and then a delay of however many seconds or milliseconds, and then you can have it skip an alert, you can have it switch scenes, so you can do a whole lot all in once. You get all of these different options. So a typical cliche, 5 people might do this, but otherwise it's a little cheesy, is you can have it here with all one button. If, for example, you're about to go live, you can have this one button, tweet that you're going live, send a Twitch chat message to those waiting in the lobby saying, hey, you're going live in just a minute. Go ahead and play an ad so that people are watching something, and then switch to a scene, which would be like an ad prep scene. And then you can have another one that switches to your live scene, flips on some cool lights. You can do a lot with it, and you have all of this custom thing. Or if you're not a streamer, I'm not a streamer. If you're not a streamer, you can just sit here and queue up a bunch of different hotkeys or text commands. Now, their hotkey support is still pretty limited. I would love to see a virtual keyboard pop up like with my Genovation Keyboard Master software here. This pops up an entire virtual keyboard, has multiple levels of keyboard control, and I can tell it to hit Control, Alt, Shift, whatever. And actually, if we look at my profile for my Genovation keyboard here with all of my Premiere macros, that is under Windows, that's under Premiere mods. I actually have a dedicated folder. That's not the updated one, but you can see here I have a bunch of different macros set for transitions and presets and things like that in Premiere that runs to my auto hotkey scripts. I have a dedicated keyboard here that can run however many macros and combinations that I want, which is really cool, but it lets me control it because the limitation here is you only get to run keyboard commands that you can physically type in and activate right here. So that means no F13 through F24 keys unless you have an IBM Model M, one of the original ones. No weird commands that might pop up something on your desktop. I ran into that issue a few times. I think they mostly worked around that, but it's still a risk. You know, you're a little bit limited here in you have to physically type it in and things like that. But you can queue up multiple hotkeys. Now I'm going to be totally transparent with you. I have not had the most amount of time to work with this. I have established, I will show some footage of my desk. I have palette gear, which does a few things. Doesn't do it well, but it does a few things, and I'm working on it. I have my main Stream Deck, which is mostly a program launcher for me at the moment. It does act as a OBS scene switcher if I need it to. Again, I don't stream a whole lot. And then I have a couple smart profiles set up with some functionality that I don't use a whole lot anymore and I need to update. Then my main keyboard has about 45 to 50 dedicated macros for Premiere. Transitions, effects, like I said, color labeling for the layer labels, and some media keys. And then I have a ripple tangent and the mini Stream Deck. And I haven't had a whole lot of time in general to figure out how I would use multiple actions, because all of my scripting thus far is single macros. Like all of my transitions, I hit a specific keyboard combination that I would never use dedicated, and then it opens up. I have dedicated auto hotkey scripts. This is the wrong one, but I have dedicated auto hotkey scripts running that then wait for that and pick up the hotkeys and send a command based on a specific script that modifies the UI of Premiere, because Premiere doesn't really let you interact on such a granular level. So I'm using Taryn from Linus Tech Tips or Linus Media Group's code to I've kind of junkified it here to work within Premiere. But those are all single actions. I don't necessarily do a whole lot that I can recognize immediately that uses multiple actions, but I know that they're insanely powerful. I know that people have been asking for them. And as I mentioned before, this guy over here, the guy that's this dude, he did some pretty crazy stuff. He uses multiple actions all the time. And he has an example here. Like when he was working on a short film, you interacted with After Effects a lot and sent like all of these different keyboards to do a whole lot of things all at once that you repeatedly do. The cool aspect of this is with the Stream Deck, and this is an advantage over my Genovation. I'm going to pull this back up here. In order to modify my primary micro keyboard that I rely on for my day-to-day stuff, I have to pull up their application. I have to find my original file that I've been working from. That way I don't, overwrite my macros. I have to pull that up. I have to find whatever key is blank. I have to then input the command, so Control-Alt-Shift-H, and then it didn't even pick up Alt in there, so I have to use the keyboard, put that in there, give it a description if I want, then I have to save that file, then I have to download that file to my keyboard, flip a switch on it so it'll cooperate, reconnect it, then it's there, and then I still have a blank key, and I have to go write down something on a scrap of paper and shove it in the keycap or print something off. It is very slow, it is very tedious, and if you have keyboard shortcuts that you want to build up and I do not want to save, and interact with within the Stream Deck, you can do this on the fly and change the icon on the fly. And so when I do have multi-actions, instead of going to my Genovation keypad, I'm going to be going to the Stream Deck because this is so much more intuitive to work with. The problem is most of the tools that I work with involve custom auto hotkey scripting, and so I just haven't had the energy or time or resources or know-how to set up the dedicated scripting to actually interact with what I want. That is the downfall of working with the Adobe apps that I'm using. And I've been shopping video editors, and most of them don't have the keyboard shortcuts that I have scripted here, which has kind of prevented me from switching. One cool thing that I did want to point out about, again, I will try to have a dedicated video at some point on the key creator here, but one thing they do let you do is once you make an icon, you can actually drag the preview straight to your key. Well, supposedly. I don't think it works in multi-actions. Interesting. So if I make a folder, if I want to change the folder icon, drag that on there. Yeah, okay. So multi-actions get a little weird. Since that makes sense. You're not going to be looking at the icons of your multi-actions. This is, all behind the scenes stuff. Okay. So when you're editing, anyway, the whole point, when you're editing an icon on your Stream Deck, you can actually, instead of saving the PNG and dragging and finding to it, you can actually just drag the preview from the Key Creator webpage to your Stream Deck icon and be good to go. So that is really cool. So yeah, the Stream Deck Mini is pretty cool, and Elgato keeps making their software even better. I'd love to see a more fleshed out macro developing toolkit, but given that their target audience consists mainly of game streamers, I understand why their focus lies elsewhere. I just wish I had the programming experience and skills and knowledge to do more with it myself.